coming to the ring at this time, we've got Josh Storm and Jonathan Hinchman. Two local independent professional wrestlers, right? You're independent contractors. And I appreciate you. First off, thank you so much for coming on the show. And secondly, thank you so much for continuing to do what you do. Because there's not, besides the gratitude, for real, there's not a whole... I read a post from your mom, literally your mom, earlier today. And she was talking about how the number one thing that you guys get back from this is actually the conversation with the fans. Just right. Thank you for...
It's a give and take process.
Definitely. Yeah. The fans is the one reason that actually has kept me going for these 16 years.
16 years. That does not...
30 plus for the family, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys come from a lineage. Okay, so let me go ahead and break this seal. The fact that you guys are actually, you're my cousins, my first cousins. Your dad is my uncle, and your mom is my aunt, and but on your mom's side, you guys come from a long lineage of family ties to the professional business world.
Right.
Do you want to speak on that a little bit?
I can remember as kids growing up watching stars like Brad Armstrong and Bob Armstrong come to the shows that we would have. Daily, sessions with them, Ken Timms and Ted Allen. AWA stars and WCW stars and WWF stars that were not quite past their prime, but still in their prime at that time when wrestling was wrestling.
Before, as we were alluding to a little bit before the show.
Right, the big shakeup.
Before the cat was let out of the bag, metaphorically speaking. And you attributed it to Mick Foley.
Well, it comes out in different books. I attribute it to especially Mick Foley, because Mick Foley had such a big scene with Terry Funk back in the Japan days that it just, you couldn't not report on it and see how it was, because, the death matches were brutal.
Yeah. I've seen some stuff online that blew my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Like ECW, what in the United States was considered hardcore, that has nothing on what they were doing to people in Japan. You attributed it to Vince McMahon coming out and
yeah, he when Vince did the video, I guess it was back in like 95 or 96. It completely, it was like beyond the ropes, and it kind of gave the fans the insight on what professional wrestling is
as a business.
So it answered that age-old question, is it fake? And honestly, even after that, you'd be surprised on how many people will come up to you and say, hey, is what you do fake? And I hate to answer that question, because to me it's like a slap in the face, because like I said, after 16 years, I wake up every morning with aches and pains that no man at the age of 32 should. And that to me is not fake. It is very painful.
Well, the entertainment that you guys are providing is a very real thing. The choreograph
right
techniques that you guys, that is a very real thing, and I don't blame you. It should be a slap in the face. And I mean, at this point, if you're asking that question, just go back to sleep. Don't nobody want to talk to you anyway. If you're still asking, is there some is this
there's been a resurgence of wrestling though in this last 2 years. If it wasn't for COVID, I think that wrestling would be even bigger than it is now, because when you have companies like AEW and NWA coming out with their YouTube platforms and now their show on Dynamite, you know, it gives you something to think about. There's another competitor out there. So
There's no longer a monopoly.
for the longest time, it was only Vince's show. You know, it was Vince is doing this, doing that. And now it's different. You got a lot of new talent. You got a lot of up and coming talent that's coming through the ropes, and AEW's actually putting out a lot of I wouldn't say underdeveloped. They're talent that you would see at indie shows for a while.
Yeah, with the to capitalize on what you just said, the fact that there's so many different shows to actually watch as a fan is great, because it also gives guys like me that opportunity, because back in the early 90s and even into the 2000s, you didn't see the small guy getting the contract deals. I mean, you had Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, but he was a very specific wrestler.
That was it. You had Rey Mysterio, or
and he's not, and for real, on the spectrum of things, he's a small person, but he's not very short.
Yeah.
I mean, but when you stand him next to a 6 foot person in an arena of people where a 6 foot person is considered a small person.
Right.
Rey Mysterio is a very tiny person, but he's really, for real, not a small person.
Right.
But his technique gets him carried away as well. The Lucha Libre style itself is basically bigger against smaller.
Yeah. He definitely put that out there, especially in WCW when he went against Big Show or the Giant.
Yeah, they had multiple feuds with that.
Well, I remember the WCW were WCW was the first company to introduce me to Lucha Libre, and Mike Tenay was the poster child for that. Every Monday night or Saturday night, he was talking about Lucha Libre and that art form, and trying to bolster people like La Parca, Psychosis. Eddie Guerrero, of course, Chavo Guerrero, all of these names. But alongside of those Lucha Libre names that had been popular years prior to them coming to WCW, you had Chris Benoit was in the ring with those same.
Chris Benoit was a world-renowned wrestler, even before his WCW days.
Yeah, in Japan as Pegasus Kid. Yeah, he started out in Canada and then went out to Japan as Pegasus Kid.
And he had a long reign as Pegasus Kid, and him and Jericho as the Young Lion.
Well, Lionheart,
yeah. He stayed, they had a big feud for years in Japan.
They were both Canadians.
Right.
So I was thinking about the Hart Foundation and Canadian wrestling, as a matter of fact, the other day. Have you guys, do you have anything to say about that?
I don't really have a lot to say about the Canucks, but...
Well, I'll say that, watching Bret Hart has been probably one of the major influences on my wrestling style and ability. In fact, I studied Bret Hart for a very long time before, actually adapting my own style. I'm a firm believer into, studying who you're, a big fan of, and then implementing your own, I guess you say, twist on things whenever you're in the ring. Bret Hart was my first one that I studied, but then I studied guys like Finn Balor, and I think he's from Ireland. Miz, Randy Orton,
Those are all people that came along as you were already into your career when those guys hit the scene.
Yeah.
So I mean, you were fed this stuff from a young, like your entire life has been built on
wrestling.
professional
Yeah.
wrestling.
Yes.
The whole
Definitely.
the whole indie circuit's been our life for years.
Oh yeah, and only until what was it, 2017, 2018 's when I actually hit the road hard. Started actually traveling, trying to make a name for myself.
I mean, we pushed out further than we had before. That's the biggest thing.
You built a following in Louisiana for a bit too. You lived out there for a while.
For about a year, but
There wasn't as much venues. There wasn't even very many shows going on.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of dry out there.
Was that the primary reason why you decided to come back home to West Georgia?
No, the primary reason of coming back home was actually at the time I applied to be a GSP officer, and my wife at the time and I had discussed it, and I told her, I said, if this application goes through, I'm gonna 100% focus on law enforcement, and I will never ever step in a ring again. That's it. But if something happens with this application and I don't get the job, I'm not looking back at law enforcement anymore. I'm done with it. I'm hitting wrestling wide open. And shoot, at that point, I was already starting to, look up companies and promoters and bookers in different states. I had pages upon pages of contacts that I had written down. And it was like a month later, I got the rejection letter from GSP. I passed my physical test. I passed my I passed my physical test, and then my background check came back, and something on my background had failed me for the application.
Well, I'm not going to dive too deep into that, but that was kind of a bomb to me just now. I'm going to be real with you, bro.
Well, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It on the application there was a section for drug usage, and there's only two things I've ever done at that point, and one was marijuana, and the other one was propionate. Marijuana, the last time I even touched it was before I even went into high school, and at the time was like a 14-year span. So I knew that wasn't it. So it had to be propionate, which was a human growth hormone. And I only took a couple injections of it. I never even did a full cycle of.
I was about to ask what the hell propionate is. I was about to ask what that was.
Makes you big and strong.
It definitely worked. The few injections that I did take, my shoulders and my arms and everything, it developed me pretty quickly. But I started noticing the fabled roid rage attitude.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah.
I thought we was going to a different stereotype, friend.
No, that one's not true. just so we're clear.
I'm not gonna dig too deeply into that.
But yeah, recently we've gone up and down the East Coast. We had COVID not come through and all that. We went up to New Jersey, New York.
That's a hotbed for professional wrestling.
Yeah,
it definitely
they
is.
definitely are. There was pop-up shows where we would see wrestlers in bars do pop-up shows.
You talking about Murder Mania?
Murder Mania, yeah.
That's
That's
pretty.
where ECW got its start here in the U.S., right? I mean,
Well,
New Jersey, wasn't it?
New Jersey.
yeah,
New Jersey,
New York,
Pennsylvania, in that area.
There's a guy that I used to live stream with all the time, Brian McFadden. He was from New Jersey, Trenton, New Jersey, and he was all about professional wrestling. And when I sent him some of your videos, it blew his freaking mind that I knew somebody that was in the business. He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, that's my cousin.
Hey, there you go. Heck yeah, plug me every chance you get.
Man, I do.
I mean, you got that training facility out there too. So,
Oh, you talking about Monster Factory?
Monster Factory, yeah.
That has to be one of the highlights of my career so far. Debuting for Monster Factory was amazing.
Yeah.
I remember you being jacked about that. You was every which way you turned around, there was a post about you and going to the Monster Factory. That's pretty awesome that you got an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: if it had not been for, I will go ahead and tell you this: if in another universe somewhere, I am in the professional wrestling business. I'm telling you because from like 8. Well, I mean, when I was a kid, that was my life up until I was about 13. Then I was like, oh, I seen titties the other day.
It's all fine and dandy until you find that first book. Which kids don't even have to worry about that these days anymore. I mean, we used to have to go look specifically hard for that kind of thing.
Yeah, man. One time we was in the woods and found like a barrel, like a old gasoline barrel, and we took a flashlight down in it, and there was nothing. It was full of nudie magazines, and went back the next day to look again with the flashlight through a little bitty ass hole.
Somebody done buried their stash. Is their collection?
That's funny because when I was a kid, my a friend of mine, his name's Joey. We were actually playing out in the woods, and we came across a nudie mag, and it happened to be the Drew Barrymore Playboy edition, and I thought that was insane that I found a Drew Barrymore Playboy.
Yeah, at all, let alone in the woods.
I had no clue that she even posed for Playboy at that time.
Well, you found Smokey the Bear's like his personal stash.
I'm telling you.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
No shit, I'm trying to start one, homie.
Rub my twigs.
So, if it weren't for professional wrestling, where do you guys think that you'd be in your lives?
In a lot less pain for sure. Honestly, I can't answer that because the fact that professional wrestling has consumed so much of my life.
From so long too. It's even when it comes down to college at wrestling, of course, me and Frankie, we were
That's
school
Frankie
wrestling.
Valentine for
Yeah.
folks at home.
Yeah, so we were schooled in high school wrestling as well. So we would help Pebblebrook team and go up and help all of the Tim's kids when they needed to have somebody to wrestle with and so forth. And but it's just been life ever since we was kids. So
trying to put a definition on who you would be without it is very difficult.
Well, I walked away from it though. Like I walked away from it for years.
Why'd you come back?
Because I came home.
Because home says come back.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see you back. I'm glad to see both of you still in it. I'm glad that the two of you have your one another's backs. That's heartwarming to me. And I wish that we would hang out some more. And I'm not getting in the ring, bro. Because believe it or not, you're talking about these aches and pains that you got at 32 years old. I'm having the same thing, but I ain't got the ring to blame it on.
Well, there's always color commentary you can do. We always need color commentary.
Man, I last time that I came to one of your shows, no, it wasn't the last time. Last time I came, you guys were in Franklin. The time before that was in Buchanan. It was raining like hell. We had to help carry the stands or whatever.
Yeah, the bleachers. I remember that.
But Dave and I was sitting on the top row of the bleachers, and I was trying to call the match, but a lot of the information that I used to hold in this database of a brain for everything professional wrestling, all that information was gone. Like I was like, I think that's called a suplex. I'd have to do some serious schooling.
Talk about
the bad thing is that's about how they sound in the indie commentary anyway. So it wouldn't be.
He did some kind of suplex and landed him on his head. Yes, that's very nice.
So you would just fit right in.
No, Jack. If I'm coming 150%. I'm talking about. I'd love to do it. Love to do Maybe after I get my gear, because because I want. By the way, folks, we're recording here at Anger Studios again. Matt's just got the hookup. Matt and give him a shout out real quick with that anger management crap, and then also we do a collective podcast called Fringe Toast, and the studio that he's built is amazing. That's why we keep coming back. But go ahead, you'll check the description box, and you can find links to both of his shows. And thank him very much for having us over today. So back to our conversation. Is there anything you guys want the public to know? Maybe.
Well, we got a show coming up on the 31st.
Okay, that's Wrestling United.
Yeah.
We'll be back in Franklin October 31st, a Halloween show.
Yeah.
October 31st.
Yep. It's a Halloween show. It's $10 at the ticket. So the tickets are $10 at the door. Kids under 10 get in for free.
Is COVID, is that having much?
We do social distancing, and you can wear your own mask and stuff to that effect, but it's not been that much of an issue for it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the numbers have gone down slightly, but I believe that it's starting to, come back up a little bit. So I don't think COVID's going to be playing a part in it much longer.
Everything's starting to open back up, but of course you have all these things that open up, and you're going to have spikes. You know how that goes.
I'm not going to go. I just wanted to know if I needed to wear a mask or not. I don't. That's about all. I'm not going to get into the conversation about whether it's necessary, whether or not these spikes are fake, whether or not they're.
It's all mind control. I'm telling you.
Why are they not? I'm not getting into it.
They're not talking. It's that secret program.
So
keep you off the AI's radar.
The CDC went live with the recovery rates like last week, and ain't nobody talking about it. Ain't nobody talking.
Of course not.
We're not. I'm not going down that tangent. I have to keep that part of my brain on a leash these days. I don't want this show to be about that kind of topic anymore. But I will tell you, folks, if that is something that you're interested in, you should check out the After Hours podcast. Would be Rich. I'll go ahead and drop a link for that for his channel as well in the description box. I'm not talking about it, but I will point you in the direction of people that will.
And what do you think about Joe Rogan's move to Texas?
I think that was smart on his part. Anytime someone can get away from those heavily populated areas, I say.
Yeah, but then he went with Spotify, and now like some of his content's missing, and it being editorialized, and
now they're talking about. Well, the first note on that was the fact that they were just having a hard time updating his archive and moving all his files over to Spotify. And now the employees of Spotify are talking about how if they don't take some of the content, other content down, then they're going on strike. I don't know, man. It is what it is. They paid him a lot of money. Congratulations to him for it. I hope. And he said that this deal would not be affecting his show at all. But I really
can't see how it does.
I don't either. I don't see how it won't. And it's unfortunate that he's being separated from a hub that he was helping grow into a monster. I'm talking about Joey Diaz moved and went back to Jersey. There's a potential that Tom Segura and Christina Pajinski will be moving out to Texas alongside of him. But even if they make that move, Dr. Drew's show will have to be pulled off of their channel. Ryan Sickler, he's kind of in a similar boat. Right before COVID hit, he opened up a brand new studio and invested a whole lot of money in there at the Santa Monica Music Center. And like COVID hit, and then right after that, then the protest happened. The protesters went in there and ripped all the shit out of his studio,
Damn.
beat the whole place down.
Which, I mean, that's another thing you have to worry about these days is you got to worry about extremists, and
Right.
like we were going through Atlanta, was it when we go into South Georgia, and it was like, is it going to be a problem going to Atlanta back when it was heavy?
Yeah, there's no way in the world you could have paid me any amount of money to make me go to Atlanta anymore. I used to, whenever the protests would pop off before, I would have hit that head on. But these are different. This is a different animal. This is a completely different animal than what it was even 3 years ago, whenever I was hitting those protests and live streaming the whole thing.
Yeah.
This is a different monkey.
I agree completely.
And I'm not taking that banana.
But that's why we like wrestling so much, because it takes you away from that.
Absolutely.
And you can enjoy yourself at the show, and you ain't got to worry about all this mess. You just got to worry about somebody stomping a mud hole in you.
And that's truly the magic of professional wrestling. Mike Quackenbush said it best. Wrestling has something in it for everybody. You like action? Wrestling. You like comedy? Wrestling. You like drama? Wrestling. There's literally wrestling for everybody if you actually give it a chance. You got your hardcore wrestling, you got your comedy wrestling, you got your high flying, your lucha libre, you got your hard hitting, you got your strong style, which I pride myself on. You have so much that you can actually become a fan of if you just give it a chance.
Right.
Well, I'm curious. I think you brought up AEW earlier in the show. I haven't watched WWE in years, probably a full decade, for not on a regular basis. I'd watch some WrestleManias every now and then. Every couple of years I might turn one on, which, by the way, this year that was ugly. No fans, and that was horrible. That was horrible. I appreciate you trying, Vince McMahon, but I'm of the opinion that was an epic fail. But what AEW is doing, that makes me want to watch. They've got something going on there. Now you mentioned another, and I'll listen back and get that other company that you're talking about hitting the scene and see what they're bringing up.
Oh, NWA. NWA's been around forever. It's the thing about
is it
it
the
is
original National Wrestling Association?
Yes, it's the original National Wrestling Association with the 10 pounds of gold. They're on hiatus because of the COVID, but
I think they have a return coming up, don't they?
I'm not sure. I've been looking for it, and they had a show every week, and then they were branching off doing other little, like skit shows, and just giving more, source material out to the public, and it was all free. It wasn't like you had to have cable or you didn't have to have it because it was on YouTube, and I mean, it's still owned by Billy Carrington, so he's got
Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
Billy Corgan bought it.
Is that the old fella that used to walk around with a tennis racket?
No. Billy Corgan, he used to
He was in the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, duh, damn.
Yeah.
I know exactly who you're talking about. He's been on JRE a couple of times. I've seen him there, and he's a huge professional wrestling fan. He's also a huge fan. Has a huge interest in the paranormal.
Yeah,
which I appreciate what he brings to the table on both of those fronts. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I highly recommend checking out NWA Power, especially if you
the
like that
earlier
old
versions.
school feel.
Yeah.
Like it really it brings back nostalgia, So
That's what I'm after. I want some of them Monday Night Nitro days back.
it's even further back than that. It's like old school
Yeah, they even had like the
audience in the audience.
Yeah, it was like a live audience. The
Studio wrestling.
yeah, exactly. They had the podium interviews, all like
Yeah, it's good.
like the late '80s style.
And they even throw in some false commercials in there to make you laugh. So
Waffles and tire irons.
waffles and tire irons.
This episode's brought to you by Waffle Hut. Yummy, yummy, yummy in my tummy.
What was his name? I can't
Strickland
think of his
Propane.
name, but he's always talking about his tire irons. And Tony Atlas, you want to get
Josh is
heat?
on. Josh is on it.
Josh is on it right now.
I don't know if we get flagged for whatever you're about to play, but we'll block it out if
Paducah, Kentucky. I know it's something Paducah, Kentucky.
It's Tony Falk's Waffles and Tire Irons. Hey, I've wrestled on a show with his son, LT Falk, up there in SWF, Tullahoma. I did not even realize that until now.
Look at that.
learning every day. So do you think that you're gonna? I know you've always wanted to make it. I mean,
The thing is, what's making it this day and age? What's making it when you got so many of these great companies now that are available to work with, like going to the UK or Germany. What was the show that we went to? WXW.
WXW from Germany, yeah.
Japan. You got All Japan, Noah. You got New Japan. These are all becoming worldwide sensations because they're available online. You can get to them online. And Davey Boy Smith's son's been big over there. Cody was big over in Japan.
Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes, yeah. The whole Nightmare Factory.
Well, everybody's definition of making it,
Different.
varies. Everyone, has a different perspective on it.
Pay your bills.
That's my definition. I want to be able to successfully take care of myself, take care of my bills.
Getting rich. You just
No. I just want to be, I guess you would say, not even really a household name, but to be able to primarily focus on just wrestling. Other than, my actual responsibilities of like being a father, stuff like that.
Right.
But I want to be able to not have to work a 9-to-5, so to speak, and still pay my bills and, be able to shift my focus into professional wrestling where
the step from it being a hobby that you're very passionate about and you've been on it every chance that you get an opportunity to it becoming a sustainable thing, like it sustains itself.
Exactly.
If you have some travel that is ahead of you, it'd be nice for that to not be so much of a burden.
Exactly. And primarily that's the whole reason I sell merch and stuff like that, to be able to offset that cost on all my travels. I sell T-shirts, I sell pictures, wristbands,
necklace.
Yeah, the list just goes on. And I'm always thinking of new designs on my T-shirts, and always in contact with my designers and stuff like that to push a new design out, because of the fact that a design gets old there for a while, and then years down the road, you can bring it back and resurface it and stuff like that. But it's definitely helped out on that spectrum. Like for example, this coming up, I think it's October 24th, I'm going to North Carolina. So that's going to be
You got a show on the 31st and the 24th, and then again on the 31st.
Yeah, we stay pretty busy. Most weekends we're on the road.
Running. That's awesome, man. So let's get. I want you to come back because I feel like there's more stories to be told. But I wanted you guys to get introduced to Whomitmay, which is Whomitmay is not me. I'm not Whomitmay. Whomitmay is the person I'm writing and telling this story to. So you guys are getting introduced to Whomitmay, and I'd like you to come back and let's talk some more eventually. But let's go ahead and call it a day in regard to this recording. Where can people find you at on the social?
Okay, on Facebook, Josh Storm. Instagram, JStorm319. Twitter, JoshStorm319.
Are you on TikTok on a regular?
I'm definitely a regular on TikTok. Josh Storm 2. That's the only one that's got a different number on it.
Josh Storm 2. Somebody got Josh Storm 1. I'll be damned.
I know. Bastards.
What about you, Jonathan?
No, I'm too much of a heel to have a social media account.
No.
No.
All right.
Magnanimous.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Parts
folks.
unknown.
If you want to talk to Jonathan more, you can leave a comment in the comment box down below, and I'll relay that message personally. All right. One last question for both of you. Josh, you can go first. If you had any advice for your 16-year-old self, what would it be at this point in your life?
Well, I would tell him to probably focus on wrestling a lot earlier and care less about the whole giving yourself to the workplace, because I feel like I probably would be a lot further in my career now if I would have put it priority first.
Earlier on.
Yeah. And how about you, Jonathan?
Don't be worldly. I would say learn to be happy in your own skin.
Sounds solid to me.
Indeed.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for today. You guys are Whomitmay. My name is Bobby D. You guys go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We'll holla at you later.